Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Midwest Mythos, and this week I got Joseph for you. How you doing, Joseph?
Man, you got a radio voice, dude. I'm gonna have you do all my intros in the future, man.
Hey,
You went
sounds
from
good.
low key. You went from low key in the pre-party, man, in the green room to like turning on that voice, man.
My family and my wife make fun of it all the time. They're like, "What?"
So now that's awesome. I'm good, bro. Thanks for having me out, Raleigh. Thanks for having me on your channel, man.
Anytime, man. Thanks for coming on.
No, no.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
Well, let's see. My name is Joseph. I run a channel called the Ancient Enigma Files. And before you ask, I tell everybody all the cool names were taken. So that was what I got assigned to. So I'm making it work. And my channel, we talk about cryptids, UFOs, aliens, lost history, conspiracies, you name it. I refuse to niche up, and but we do it with a spin, man. We bring the actual history to you. We bring the actual, the stuff that's been taken out or used against us. We bring it to it, but that's basically it, man. But that's my channel there in a nutshell. There,
Hey, that's the way to do it. If you're going to do it the right way. And it sounds
yeah,
like
for
you
sure,
got,
right?
I mean, you can turn on that history channel and you can find out the baseline, everything
Yeah,
they want you to
exactly.
hear.
If you want the brainwash stuff, go watch the History Channel. If you want the real deal, come check my channel out, man. We'll get you straight, bro.
Everybody go check him out, man. I've been listening to the last couple weeks, and man, he ain't lying. Some of the stuff I thought I knew, man, I couldn't be more wrong. It's
Yeah, man, it is, man. It's like I had a conversation today with somebody, and I had to like tell him. He's like, "Man, you're telling that all the history we've been taught is wrong." I'm like, "Not just us, man. Like the entire planet. Like there's like it's not just America that they tell you that it's one way, and it's actually literally the complete opposite way." And the crazy thing about it is that it is the real history is always way more interesting than the boring lie that they try to sell us with, man, all the time, right? It's insane, right? But yeah, so that's what I get into, man, and I laugh along the way. We cut up along the way as well, man. So that's just how it is.
that's awesome. So, what made you get into this? Because the normal person just doesn't decide, hey, I'm going to make a
Well,
channel talking about this kind of stuff.
all right, don't judge. This is judgment free zone, right?
Judgment free zone.
But I actually did it as a troll, man, to make some people mad. I'll tell you the story, man. I'll tell you the story real quick, man, on how I got the channel started up. So right during, the lockdowns, everybody was in the house and we couldn't go anywhere. And I started to get a little bit, bored. And so I never really paid much attention to, social medias and that stuff. So I kind of had that time on my hand, like literally, like I was never on Facebook. And like my Instagram channel now that you see is the only one I've ever had, right? And I'm still learning how to do that, right? People think I'm some kind of like master. I'm an idiot. Like I'm saying, like I'm in there, like it's so I don't know what I'm really doing, man. So if I'm leaving you on unread, it ain't personal. It's like I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, so I got bored and I was reading these, and I was watching YouTube and I was looking at this stuff and I was seeing what people were talking, and I'm like, yo, that's not even close to being like that's not even close to being true, right? Like who told you that lie, right? And so then, man, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna troll some people. So I made this guy right back here, right? I created that guy. That's me. That's Professor Augustus, the bastard son of Indiana Jones. I just made that guy up, right? Like, and so I went and made an Instagram channel. It's my Instagram channel now. It's Ancient Enigma Files, and I what I did is I sat down at the computer, man, and I made a video how no shot the Egyptians built the pyramids, right? And the way and so I just made this video. It's pinned on my profile. It's got over 200,000 some views. And basically, I was just saying that. Now, I brought the receipts too, and it really seemed to irritate people because the pyramids are made out of like this type of granite, right? That's like
Mhm.
number four on the Mohs hardest scale, right? And the ancient Egyptians back in that time, they're not even the real Egyptians, by the way. The only way that they could cut that stone was with a technique called abrasion, which was basically they would take sand and water and like a thin copper blade, and me and you would sit there and just rub back and forth, right?
Mm.
So two dudes that are 5'4" and 120 pounds in 130-degree heat with a can-do attitude is not cutting these blocks. It's just not happening, right? It's not going to happen, right?
No way.
And so I put that up there, and man, I made a lot of people mad, bro. When I went to bed, I had 11 followers. I just had 11 followers. I made the video, I put it up there. I made my wife and a couple other people follow me that are related to me, and there was like 11 followers. Got up the next morning, man, and like my phone was like locked. I couldn't even get there, and then I went in there, and that thing had I had 1,000 followers in one night, and like I had like in like 8 hours, and it was just like, man, these comments were like insane, right? And I was like, so it just blew up, dude. But and then again, I doubled down on it and said that like the Bible tells you that when God sent his son, he calls him his son, Nebuchadnezzar, down to sweep through to punish the Israelites for sacrificing their kids to demons, Baal worship and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. As a reward, he gave Nebuchadnezzar Egypt. So Nebuchadnezzar went down to Egypt and took out Egypt and took everybody back to Babylon, right? Everybody back. And everybody else got destroyed. And the only people he let go were Daniel's people. Some Jews got to go back and rebuild. What happened was the Kemites, which were in, mid Africa, they migrated north and they found Egypt, right? So the modern day Egyptians, they did not make those pyramids, and the Jews did not make those pyramids. Those pyramids were made. If you read this book back here, those pyramids were made by the Watchers, man, or the Anunnaki, or if you want to read the book of Enoch, call them the fallen angels. If you want to read the sci-fi version, read the Sumerian tablets, the Anunnaki. These guys were 10, 12 feet tall, 15 feet tall. It makes sense that they can move that type of stuff now, right? And also, too, the Egyptians never went ahead and recreated any, came close to recreating that ever, right? The next pyramid they tried to mimic was the Red Pyramid, right? And it's horrible. You can go look it up, man. It looks like you and me out there with some bricks and a keg of Bush beer, having some fun trying to put together these pyramids, right? So that's the story I did, man. And then people kept, then all of a sudden people were like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, I'll make a video on that. I'll make a video. And it just took off after that, man. And then my cousin was like, hey, look, dude, we should start a podcast. And I'm like, I don't know how to do a podcast. He's like, well, me neither. So we started it, and then he got busy in life. And I'm like, all right, I just kept it, man. So that's literally where all this came from. I fell into this, bro. I fell into it, man. Again, now, if you go on my YouTube channel now, man, you read the comments I give back to people. I know I'm not supposed to say them comments, right? But like, hey, I do it anyway. So yeah, that's where it came from, Ron.
Those are some of the best. Going through and reading your comments are some of the funniest comments I see, because you got a pretty good following. So usually, like, once you see somebody past 10,000, you kind of just expect them. Hey, I'm not gonna pay any attention to the comments, anything like that. But I've been going through yours, reading them. I'm like, no, you're telling them how it is.
So like, yeah, man, like. I don't. So the thing that I liked when I made this channel at first, right, was when the following was like at 1,000, right? I really had like about 40 people that would like interact with the things, right? But now we're about to break 30,000, and I'm like, I got like 3,000 comments, so I kind of miss going in there like talking to people. But sometimes I'll have a little bit of downtime, and I'll go in there and I'll hit a video, and I'll just start scrolling, and I'll see somebody say something, kind of cheeky, and I'll be like, oh, I got this guy. I hit him with a little blip, right? But then I know them, and then they fire back, and I never see it, man, because it gets lost in the shuffle. But it's fun, man. I enjoy myself, man. I enjoy myself too much, so hey,
what's the point in doing it if he ain't having fun?
Yeah, right. It's like the best part of it is, man, is that sometimes my channel has gotten to a size that sometimes, like, people start chewing me out, but they don't know it's my channel. And so they'll be like, what are you doing? You took the time out of your day to come in here and start some trouble? I'm just like, I was like, yeah. It's like, you got nothing better to do. And it finally dawns on me, like, yo, this guy doesn't know. This guy doesn't know who's talking to me, right? So I'm like, hey, man, let's play a game. Look at my name and then go look at the channel name. It's my channel, stupid. I can say whatever I want, right? So yeah, it's stuff like that's funny, man. But then like sometimes people come in, and then like I'm very I can take a joke, right? So like somebody will come in, right, and they'll say something funny about me, and I'm like, not gonna lie, man, that's pretty good. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that down the road, man. I'll send them a t-shirt. I'll send them a t-shirt or something like that, man. Like, here's a t-shirt, man. I'll do something like that, man. But yeah, it's all fun, man. And then it branched out to like I got a Facebook page now and a TikTok page. I keep getting shadow banned on TikTok. I don't know what I'm doing wrong over there, man. But like I keep making the Chinese mad, I think, or something. But yeah, it's good times, brother. It's good times, man. And I got to meet I get to meet like really cool people like you, and I get to meet like you, and then like Drewski and all these other guys. I get to meet them, man. So I get to hear like really like cool stories, right? So that's the fun part of it, I think, right? So
Yeah, I'd have to say that's my favorite part about doing this. It's just the
yeah,
people you get to talk to, people you get to meet. Because honestly, it does give you a little leverage when if you're also a creator or a
yeah,
researcher or something like that. It's like
yeah.
these people you thought your whole life is impossible to talk to. It's like, oh, hey, you want to come talk for a little bit? Sure.
Yeah, I'll even tell you, man. Like I'll tell you, are you in Tennessee?
No, I'm up in Indiana.
Oh, Indiana, right? So like I went like so because of this channel, I went to the U.A.P hearings, right? And
Oh,
I got them. I met Jeremy Corbell, and I met like the Tennessee congressman down there. He gave me his office number, right? So when the next like I will say that like I laugh at some of this stuff, right? Like I mean I believe it, but I laugh at it, right? But like I've actually started to like, whoa, I'm like, all right, I started this guy, and now I'm actually talking to Tim Burchett, a Tennessee, congressman outside of DC, right? It's a crazy story, man. But like but yeah, meeting good people along the way is part of it, man. And so, like I said, and then I enjoy it. So, but that's where it started from, dude, and that's where it came from. Like we just hit our 1 year anniversary on Monday, as a matter of fact.
oh, congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, 52 episodes of Enigma Cast, man, is where I dropped that on Monday, though.
Sweet. So you brought it up. It's something I was going to talk about sometime on the show. And if you want to talk about it for a second, we can. If not, we can fly right past it.
No, man, I'm good.
So, what's your take on the U.A.P hearings?
So I was actually there, right?
Mhm.
And I posted up some videos on my Instagram channel. I did a live about it. I did also a recording with a buddy of mine named Scott Murta. I'll hook you up with him too, man. You can bring him on your show and talk to him.
All right.
Where he lives and breathes like UAP UFO disclosure, right? And I went down there. He actually got into the room, and I was in line. It was a big long line, right? But I got to the door. And so it worked out better when they closed the door, because as the congressman would leave, I could talk to them when they came out, right?
Mhm.
And what they were in there talking to, they had a couple guys talking, but the main guy was Lou Elizondo, right? I don't know. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lou actually blocked me on X, man. He blocked me. So he blocked me on X. He muted me on X. I don't know if he's unmuted me since, right? And I really didn't think I said anything too bad to him, right? But he couldn't pick me out of a lineup, right? But it was funny because I was standing like literally 3 feet away from him, and he was getting my buddy Scott was getting a picture with him, and he didn't know it was me. But I still talked to him, shook his hand or whatever. It's fine. Lou's it like, and again, my take on Lou is the same take I have on like this UAP disclosure as well. Lou had a TSSCI clearance. So did I. Lou was Army intelligence. I was naval intelligence. Lou's been in skiffs. My whole career was in a skiff, right? So I had told people that there would be nothing in Lou's book that wasn't approved by the Pentagon, because we have to sign this paper when we get our clearances saying that we'll never make a movie or do anything without prior authorization or prior approval, right? He even said that during his testimony.
Mhm.
Lou's not a disclosure guy. He's not a whistleblower. Lou is a good guy. Not people when I talk about him too, people think I don't like him. He's actually a good guy, right?
Mhm.
And he's not a bad dude. But he's not going to break the law. He's not going to say, here's where the bodies are at. He's not going to do it. And I don't blame him, because I wouldn't do it either, because I don't want to go to jail, right? And I
Yeah.
was so I don't want so I tell people that all the time, and they're like, don't say that Lou's brave. And I'm like, he's not. He's writing books, and he's staying within the parameters that the Pentagon are letting him do. That's not brave. In fact, he's probably working with them slow roll this out, right? So, but people think that I have a problem with Lou Elizondo. I don't. I really don't. He's shorter than I thought he would be. He's a lot shorter than I was like, okay, I didn't expect him to be like 5'6" or whatever, but like he's not a tall dude or whatever. I don't know why, man. I just thought he would be like 6'5" or something, but he's really not. But he's not a bad guy. But when I was down there and I was listening to him, man, they didn't say anything new. But Scott pointed out a good point, man, that the people that are just now coming into this or just now, learning about it, it was a valuable hearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and the more people talk about it, the more they do it. And a lot of UFO people don't want to work with me as well, right? Because, well, a lot of Bigfoot people don't either, because I don't go with their narratives, right? And I'll tell you, like, UFOs, if you see anything that's a boomerang or a triangle, that's us. That's the United States of America. That's skunkworks. That's nothing new, man.
Mm-hmm.
These orbs that you see, those are interdimensional something, man, spiritual in nature or whatever. That's what those are, right? And if you see the smaller ones that are silver, that are real fast or whatever, those aren't coming from outer space. They're already here. We're looking in the wrong directions. They're in the earth. The Bible says hundreds of times, man, those who live on the earth and in it will bend the knee, right? If you read the book of Enoch, man, you read the Sumerian tablets, you read any of the Native American folklores about these creatures that live in the ground. Every single ancient society has a word for a shape-shifting reptile, right? That can take on human form, right? That lives in the earth, right? And so, and supposedly they had no contact with each other, right? So people are like, hey, man, what makes you think that? And I'm like, well, if you read more than one book and you expand your mind, you will see that these sources, those things aren't traveling bazillion trillion miles away, right, to get here. And the same thing with like the Bigfoot researchers, man. Some of them, like, I tell them that these animals they're not animals. It's not a gigantic Pithecanthropus, man. It's not some stupid, 20-foot, gorilla we never seen, right? They think it is, man. I'm like, no. If you read the book of Enoch, it talks about how the Watchers, created these hairy men, right? And they made the Fae. Every story you've ever heard is in the book of Enoch about how they made these things. Even in the Sumerian tablets, Gilgamesh had a Bigfoot best friend named Enkidu, right? Yep. So yeah, man. And then all you have to do is even look in North America, and you'll see that the Bigfoots that are reported in Alaska are 12 feet tall, 14 tall, 16 feet tall. The ones in Florida, the skunk apes, are 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall. The ones in Louisiana are 3-footers, 3 toes. The ones in Oklahoma are cannibalistic, they eat people. They're not even close to being the same, right? The ones up in the western part of Canada look more like men. You have the Tennessee wild man. You have the grass man up in Michigan. I think something up there in your area. So yeah, man. So I don't go with the conventional research, and finding a footprint, it was cool, but that's not gonna convince me that this, I mean, I know they're real, but I'm like, there's more to the story.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like it when I talk like that, I guess, man, but it's okay. So
I used to, because I've been into Bigfoot since I and Sasquatch, all same thing, since I was a little kid. And so my whole life I thought it was flesh and blood, it is that 10-foot ape, undiscovered ape just walking through the woods and stuff like that. But especially since I've started this show back in May, and just talking to people the last couple of years who have shows and doing my own personal research, like, I am finding, like you said, like, this stuff is not as simple, and it's a hard transition. Like, there's still part of me that still thinks, hey, man, it could be, because gorillas weren't officially discovered until the 40s, but there's too many signs, especially like with the scripture and some of the Apocrypha and just all the other texts from around the world that are showing signs that, hey, man,
it's 100%, man. And what I tell people is that doesn't diminish them. I said, if anything, it makes it more of a mystery, because you have in the northwestern part of America's Washington State, that part of Canada, up in Alaska, you see a lot of orb activity right around the time Bigfoot show up, right? Those are portals. These things have the ability to portal somehow, right? And you get down to Louisiana and Oklahoma, they're more feral. right? They're more animalistic, right? And then you wonder why you can never, why we never, I tell people this too, why you never find the bodies. You've never found a dead deer in the forest either. You'll find dead deers on the side of the road, but if a deer falls dead in the woods, it'll be gone in 24 hours. The woods will take it back. Possums will eat it. It'll be done, right?
Yeah.
But also too, these things I'm convinced of this, man. They have abilities that we probably used to have once upon a time, right? And when you watch any of the Missing 411, I don't know if you're familiar with that series on YouTube, right? These guys have the ability to somehow blur in and out. Like, I hate to use that word blurry, but like to be there 1 second and be there not the next second, right? And people have tracked them in Alaska in snowbanks, and the footprints just stop. They just go away, right? And so that tells you right there there's more to it that's going on. And again, I think it's cool, man. And then like you have the cigar shaped. You ever seen the cigar shaped UFOs?
I've actually seen one myself in over
Okay.
by Lake Michigan. Yeah, I've seen one
Yeah.
not too
So
far over the lake.
do you know that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMPs, they refer to those as Bigfoot ships?
Really?
Yeah.
I've not heard about that before.
Yeah, man. Go look that up, man. Especially out there on the western part of Canada. They refer to those cigar shaped UFOs as Bigfoot ships, right? So, and again, I laugh. I call it like Chewbacca's up there, just moving around or whatever. But again, man, the whole purpose of my show, man, and when I talk to some people, man, I try to tell them is that if you think we live on a boring earth, man, you're not doing it right, man. You got to get out there and look at it, right, and get into it. So, yeah, man, that's the angle I take on a lot of this stuff, man. But again, so that's my thing with this UFO UAP hearings. I don't know what's going on, right? But I do know that we're looking at it like this, but we need to look at it more like this, right? During that UFO UAP hearing, they basically just came out and said that these things live in the ocean, right? And if you've been in the community for a long time, everybody who's in it will tell you the same thing. And I always do two things when I look at that, right? I always look at historical references for it, biblical references for it, right? And if you read the book of Revelations, it will tell you everything is beasts come out of the oceans, out of the oceans, out of the oceans, right? Out of the oceans, right? But again, if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, I'm pronouncing that wrong, man. It's the Hindu text or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at the Sumerian tablets, they're not demons or aliens to those guys. They are extraterrestrial from the heavens, right? Whatever.
Yep.
They're saying the same thing, they're just saying it in different languages, right? So whatever is about to happen, I think they know it's about to happen. And I tell this all the time. I tell people all the time is that they're speed rushing these UAPs because they fear the rapture is going to happen. And they want to say that it was an alien invasion and that we all need to come together to protect us for when the aliens come back again. And the only way to do that is for Elon Musk to be the king of the earth and for everybody to, that's how I look at it, right? To go in it. I believe in Jesus.
Amen.
And so, but Jesus was an alien. He was an interdimensional being. Jesus was not from this plane. And so again, it fits in both realms, right? To go with. So that's what I think is happening, dude. I said there's Masonic principles that are involved as well that they're trying to do, and they're worried, and I think that's why they're trying to rush these things forward. And that's just the angle that I'm going with it. But I'm not scared of it. I'm not one way or the other. It's going to go down, and so like, but if we all wake up tomorrow and like half the world is gone, it wasn't an alien invasion. I'm saying, right? So but we'll see, brother. But that's what I think it is, man. And then, but I said a lot of it, man, is us, man. It's the USA, man, involved in some fiduciary that we shouldn't be, and billions of dollars are at stake, and all this stuff. I do know for a fact that we are probably a solid 80 years behind the technology that we should have because they've locked it all up. Like, I mean, like, and when the people talk about this golden age coming in, I do think in the next 2 years or maybe even the next year, I think that life in America is going to explode in a way that you would never even dream possible, man. And so there's some good things in here, but like I said, it's just me, but from the research I've read and stuff, I've came to postulate on myself, thinking about what's going on and where it's all coming from. But I have a positive outlook. But yeah, some of this stuff, that's us, man. So
See, that's the positive outlook thing is a good thing to have because, like you say, you believe in Christ. It's
yeah,
uh one of the things. There's a lot of people being very like scared of the end times. Everybody's like, "Oh no, I don't know what to do. Like I'm worried it's gonna happen next week. What do I got to do?" And I'm just like, do you believe in Jesus?" And they're
yeah,
like, "Yeah." I was like, Have you confessed with your mouth and your heart that He's your Savior and that He died on the cross for us and rose 3 days later?" And they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "You have nothing to be afraid of then."
yeah.
I was like, If you believe when He says His word is true, all His word is true, and His word He says He will not forsake you or leave you, you'll be perfectly fine."
And my thing is this too. Like, okay, you and me, right? We're in Miami and we're standing on a boat dock, right? And a 400-foot tsunami is heading our way. What do you think we're gonna do? We're might as well just high five, like see you on the other side. There's nothing you can do, bro. Like, so look, man. So when I tell people, I get so many people on my channel, man. There's a big argument going on right now on one of my threads, man, on my Instagram about are they angels or are they demons, bro? We'll eventually find out one way or the other. And so even I tell people that, like, all right, so I know that alien encounters have been halted in the name of Jesus, right? And people think that, oh, that makes their demons. And I say, what if that? No, what that doesn't make them demons. That just increases his power, because if there's life everywhere, and then everybody has to bend down, right? So, yeah, man. I mean, I tell people like all the time, they're the same thing. Like, I'm worried, and they're like, "Are you worried?" I'm like, "No." There's like if a mothership lands down and they come out and they wave, then we're cool. But if a mothership lands down and like three predators step out and come invisible, I'm grabbing my AR, man. I'm going with a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, one way or the other, man. I'm not gonna just stand there and just crawl up in a ball. But yeah, bro. So that's the only thing that they can do. I think it's coming. I think that I've had some weird stuff happen to me during 2024. I do feel like there is like a, a heaviness has been taken off of the planet, man. I don't know how to explain it other than that, man. I do feel that kind of is going on right now, but like I said, bro.
Uh, I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
100% on that.
Yeah,
And
like something was like something feels different, man. The energy, the vibe is different. I don't know what it is, man. But like I said, we'll find out here pretty soon as we get forward and we get moving on it. But like I said, I tell people don't be afraid, man. And people hit me up on channels too. Like, it's funny too, because people hit me up with like wanting some like really deep advice, right? And I'm like, you're at what? You're asking me that? Like, so look, you like, yeah, like I'm shooting a Roman candle at it. That's what I'm doing. I'm out there like doing something like that, right? So I'm that dude, right? So yeah, so people, if you when you watch this video, there's nothing you could do. If aliens are here and they want to throw down, then we're in for a fight, man. But if they wanted to do that, and this is another reason where I bring the power of Jesus into play. If they wanted to do that, they would have already done it, right? And
mhm.
so like there's something stopping them from doing that, right? Something is making them stop, right? And so to me, like I said, man, we're made in God's image, and so we're not, and so that's what I believe it is, man. That they know that we're off limits and we're not supposed to be messed with. So that's just how I look at it, right? And then again, man, evil humans are human beings' worst enemies, not aliens, not no cryptids in the woods, man. Like I tell people all the time, man, when you're in the woods, the most dangerous thing you're going to come across in there is other people. And I mean that when I'm serious when I say that, right? So like it'll be other people, right? If you come across a dog, man, you hit the lottery. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what that is, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, man. So don't be afraid. So
That's all. That's some good advice, man.
yeah,
So you've been doing this a whole year now.
whole year.
What are some of the things that what are some of the your favorite topics that have come up on your show in this year?
So man, I got a couple favorite episodes, man. One of them was there's actually a couple good ones on there. I covered a story about the Kaylee Cahill alien abduction down in Melbourne, Australia, and that was one of that story right there, man. It was multiple people there, and it was absolutely it was insane, right? It was wild. Kaylee Cahill, sorry about that, Kaylee
You're all good.
Cahill, and then the second one would be I did a story about this girl named Seraphin Long, right? And she was on the western part of Canada, and she actually got abducted by a Bigfoot, right? And she was a First Nation uh, native up there, and he actually got her pregnant, right? And he described her as being more of a wild man type of Bigfoot, right? That was a good one. And then my all time favorite one is my episode 16, man, was the Joe Barger incident up in Michigan. I don't know if you've heard about them, where he actually shot a dog, man.
I I just dropped an episode, so I'm doing an episode. Next summer, I'm still trying to put together a team. I'm planning on shooting a documentary up in the Manistee National Forest. Um, because I grew up 2 hours south of it, so
Okay.
when I lived up in the UP, I would drive through visiting all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff, sir. I actually just did an episode on it as kind of a teaser for that.
Uh-huh.
That was the first thing I talked about on the episode.
Yeah. So I got Joe Barger's wife's contact information if you want to reach out, dude. I email them back and forth. I won't do it. I'll give it off the air, man. And then,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm going to have them on the show as well. But the very first dog man, it's actually in my notes over here. It's funny, man, because I'm over here. The very first dog man ever reported it was actually in 1887. It was in Michigan, right? That was the very first one ever reported, right? And so the dog man one, the dog man topic. So that Joe Barger story is amazing, and that's my favorite episode that I have on here. But also too, the dog man phenomenon in general is the most wildest thing, man, that I've came across on my channel. Because if you go back to old newspaper clippings, man, in World War II, you can find them. U.S. soldiers were reporting being attacked by werewolves, right? And the werewolves were actually, there is a forest called the Black Forest. And I don't know if you've heard the stories about Hansel and Gretel and all these other things like that.
Yep, all in the
Yeah.
is it
So that's where,
Romania?
yeah. So that's where I think it's somewhere in Austria. That's where all these stories originated from, right? That were written there. The very first werewolf ever was killed in that forest. And so if you go back and you look at a lot of World War II photos, you see these German officers, right? These SS officers with these crazy scars on their face, right? And the story they would tell you was that they would scar themselves on purpose to make themselves look more, frightening. Again, complete lie.
Yeah.
So what they were doing is that these officers were going to they were the only ones allowed to go into this forest, were German SS officers, right? And they would go into this forest, the Black Forest in Austria. It's called Hammenberg or something like that. And the story is that they were going in there to fight werewolves. If they survived, they became the ability to phase into these werewolves, and if they didn't, they just died, right? So the ones that survived always had the scars, but it was before the transformation, so they wouldn't heal. And so then, bro, when you go on, you follow that, and you go on and you see that the World War II clippings where the super soldiers they were saying that they were these werewolf things. And then you come over here and it leads into the Joe Barger incident where the DHS stopped him and said, "You killed one of our assets." and then it just opens up, like it just continues to branch and branch and branch and branch, man. And so that again, so one of the things on my show, to come on my show, we have to have a some ground rules, is that we have to at least agree that it's something, right? If you want, I won't bring you on my show if you're just going to say no, it doesn't exist. All right, whatever. You're on my nerves, right? You're out, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about what it is all day, man, but like we can debate it, right? But it's definitely something, right? And that's been the biggest, wildest eye opener with me with uh my episodes, was how many people have a dog man story, right? And like when you just barely pull on the thread, the dog man just starts going back and back and back in time, man. So that's the one. That's the one. The Joe Barger episode is my favorite episode, right? Because that story was amazing, right? So I mean, you already know it, but
I'm gonna have to go and watch that.
yeah, episode 16, man. So if you're not familiar with that story, dude, you should go check that out, man. I tell you what, like I have seen some of his clips. He's been interviewed by other people when I'm sitting down there and I see him talking, and I'm just like, yeah, that's like something happened, right? You can argue about what happened all you want, man, but like something went down, right? And then so, but yeah, I believe the story 100%. Just because also too the area, the Michigan area is riddled with, it's known for dogman sightings. So
it, that was going to be this going to kind of go into the next question for you is, so I was born and raised in Michigan, just recently moved down to Indiana, trying to move back up to Michigan. My wife ain't having it, but there's something about at least the western side, the Lake Michigan side, that, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no other place like it in the world.
no,
And there's so much stuff that happens, like the lake. Are you familiar with the Lake Michigan Triangle?
a little bit on it, but also don't you have water babies up there? Like something weird, crazy, like something like water spirits or something as well?
There's a over in Lake Erie. Well, there is some stuff in Lake Michigan, but
Okay.
more like the water
Okay.
panthers and stuff like
Yeah,
that. It's
that's
Lake
it.
Erie and Lake Superior.
Yeah.
But there's just, I mean, I've personally seen UFOs over the lake
Mhm.
numerous times throughout my life, but I also grew up right across the street from Lake Michigan. And, we got the melon heads, we got a lot of Sasquatch stuff,
Yeah.
and we got a lot of Dogman. But it's all, I mean, you get Sasquatch up in the U.P. and a
Mhm.
little bit on the east side, but the Lake Michigan side, I, there's, I was looking at reports, and there's just reports all on the strip, just going up.
Yeah. So I tell people this too, man. I tell people a lot of the times, when people regret calling me out sometimes, right? Because I'm kind of like, I try to be nice, man, but I have a tongue like a straight razor, right? And I'll tell them, I'm like, the white trail at your local park, that's not the woods, bro. You have no idea what the woods are like, right? I think in the United States of America, there is over, I want to say, 7 trillion acres or something like that, or of forest in the United States of America. People don't realize this, that it takes it. I want to back up here because I don't want to be insulting to anybody. If you've never been in the woods before, right? If you have no idea how much of the United States of America is actually forest, right? You have no idea, right? People go their whole lives and they never leave their counties, or you make a trip to Disney. When you start heading into these other places, for example, I'll just use Michigan, since you're from Michigan, right? I want to say that there is the Manatee National Forest is like 1 million acres. 1 million, right? 1 million acres, right? And I think they call them tetra acres or something like that. It's incredibly massive, right? You couldn't walk through it in 3 weeks. You couldn't do it, right? You can't start and just walk your way through it, right? Because it's not a straight path. It's back and forth. It's up and down. And so it's probably littered with caves. I came from the Appalachian mountain range. It's littered with caves. You have no idea what's living in there. And again, there's probably regular wolves up there. There's probably all kinds of weird, just like normal stuff that'll kill you, right? it's the height of human arrogance to think that we've got everything figured out, man, and that we know exactly what's going on, and that we know that sure, like if you're in, I'm not, I'll just pick a place. If you're in Cleveland, right, and you've never been to Michigan or the Manatee National Forest, and you want to say that okay, I'm from Cleveland, and there's no shot that those things are existence, and you've never spent one night in the woods your whole life. It's really you don't really know. You can't. You're really you really don't know what you're talking about, and to be any to be as nice as possible.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
I went down to Tennessee a couple years ago. Went down the Smoky Mountain National Park, and we stayed on the trails, like
yeah,
just because we weren't, me and my friends, we weren't familiar with the area, and a lot of my friends not rugged outdoorsmen by any
right,
means. So we're like, we'll just take the path. And I was like, man, I got humbled really quick because like
yeah,
northern forest and woods are way different than what y'all guys got down in the
yeah.
mountains, and it's
So the smoke you were were you near Grandfather Mountain?
I was we were in Searville by Gatlinburg and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So those those refer to those as the Smoky Mountains, right?
Mhm.
And so yeah, there's like seven things that will kill you there at night, right? And so again, when I tell people like if you want to really get off, Drew's got some great stories. If you want to really get, if you want to really see what it's like, go down to that mountain range, get on the path, and then just look to your left or your right off the path and walk for 5 hours. Just walk 5 hours, right? And I'll tell you right now, then you'll see like, okay, I should not have done this because you'll 100% you'll just come across and there'll be a graveyard just out in the middle of nowhere because there used to be a town there back in the day, and the woods took it back over, and now you're completely lost, right? And the wilderness when you get into those deep woods, and I tell people this, you probably can back me up on this, until you do it, there is a vibe, there is an energy there, man, there is something different. I can't explain it, man. I don't know what it is, but like when you get into the deep wilderness, like the air changes, like it's just different, right? And that's, I mean, I'm probably doing a terrible job for people who watch this show that have never been in that, but and by all means, do not just go out there and just do what I told you to do because you will die. Right?
You will.
Ease into this, man. Ease into it, right? So yeah, and I tell people all the time, man. They're like, "What? If you ever do go out there and you do get lost or whatever, and it gets nighttime, sit down, just wait. You're in for a rough night, man. But do not walk around at night. Just hug that tree, and just wait for the sun to come up, and then head towards the sunlight, man. Head east or wherever you're trying to do it on it. But yeah, so no, but yeah, so the Manatee National Forest is another hot spot in the United States of America, just packed with fiduciary, man. But mainly the fiduciary up there, man, is dogman. It's been that way since 1887. Loggers were reporting dogman attacks back in the day, right? So yeah, man. So have fun with that, bro.
Yeah, when we go, we're gonna be armed to the teeth. And I'm one of my good buddies. He used to run like he wasn't. I don't think he was in the military, but you know them like you ever met one of those groups of guys that likes to do like the hardcore like combat training,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
group of 10 guys go out in the woods, get lost on purpose, try to track
right.
your way
Yeah,
back in a week.
yeah.
He did that up there, so he
You'll be
said
fine, man.
yeah, he said I'll go with y'all. So
Yeah.
we'll have a trained person and we'll be armed to the teeth as well.
Yeah, that's cool. So it'll be fun, man. Like I said, but yeah, but if you're watching the show and you don't have any experience in the woods, ease into it. All right, go to the Yogi Bear campground and learn to set your tent up first, man, and then try to go in there. Don't just head into the Manatee National Forest or the Appalachian Mountain Range for funsies, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go to them big state parks, they got family friendly trails. I
Yeah,
mean,
stay on those, man. Stay on those, right? So
I wouldn't do them at night, but
no, for sure. Come up missing out there, right?
there's a lot of missing people up there, man.
Yeah. So if you take the U.S. National Missing Persons map, and you can get it online and print it out and then lay it on top of the United States of America map, all the hot spots are the national forests, the national parks. It just totally lays it across, right? So this tells you right there, man, what's going on in those things.
It, I know you got to get going here in a few minutes because you got
No, we're good.
Something else going. So, what's your thought on you brought it up. What's your thought on the forest, national parks, and stuff like that?
So I'll bring you some receipts on this, man. So a lot of people don't know this, but the FBI will not investigate a missing person in the national forest, right? And they're not the national forests aren't obligated to publicly disclose how many people go missing within national forest every year. And again, go look it up. You know, I shouldn't be your last stop. I'll be your first. Go look it up. Do you know who has jurisdiction over national forest, right?
It is not off the top. I want to say the tribal lands, but I
No,
know that's
actually,
not sure.
it's actually DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, who deal with terrorism and things that and border patrol, right? So why would the United States of America put the Department of Homeland Security in charge of national forests and national parks? Why would the rumor be that we are growing dogmen and cutting them loose in these national forests? Why are there all of a sudden reports of feral people in these national forests, right? And they don't tell anybody about them, and they don't tell anything about them. It's because those forests, man, are littered with cave systems, littered with them. And there are also certain types of cryptids, rakes in particular, who they're these tall white ones, right? I made some videos on it before, right? Yeah. And so they call them rakes. They're in there, right? And so they're sending these dogmans into these caves to fight these things. So when Joe Barger shot that dogman, he got stopped by the DHS several months later saying, "You killed our asset," right? Stop talking about this, right? And so that was one of the crazy things I thought right there. So yes, something is definitely going on in those forests. And I think a fair amount of people know about it, but they don't talk about it for certain reasons. And I think the reasons why they don't talk, I never buy the whole, they don't want to cause hysteria or they don't want to make people scared. I don't buy that, right? They don't care about us enough to do that, right?
No.
What they want to do is that what they don't, the reason why they don't tell us that is because they don't want people going in there hunting these things. That's what I think it is. They don't want people to go in there to do that, right?
So they don't want more Drews then.
Yeah, right. So yeah. So that's what I think. That's what I think is happening and what is going on. But I will say this though, that truth is always stranger than fiction. So if you're hearing them say that they came out earlier, like 3 or 4 months ago, and they said that there's over 600 serial killers, truckers, working Route 66. And that made me laugh, right? Because that is such a lie, right? That is such a lie, right? If there's 600 serial killers working Route 66 in these truck stops, I'll get one. I'll go out there and catch one by myself, right? If there's that many, they had to come up with an excuse to justify all these missing people that were happening and that were going on, right? So that was the lie they came up with, right? And they don't even really lie good anymore, right? They can't even tell good lies, right? Something's going on in these national forests. Human beings, we are not nowhere close to the top of the food chain. Things that were asleep inside the earth because of the way the earth is moving and going forward have woken up. And I am a very firm believer in it. Call them Nephilim, call them whatever you want to call them, man. Any type of cryptids, whatever, man. Something is happening, man. I'll even take you. Some people will even talk about. Have you heard the CERN skipped our timelines? Have you heard this theories before? Right?
Oh yeah.
Whatever you want to know, whatever you want to believe, man. Either timelines are merging or some things are happening. But again, like I say on my channel, some fiduciary's going on, and it ain't just kids getting lost in the woods, man. It's just not happening. Something's out there, man. Something bad's going on out there. And so I believe it myself. And like I go hiking all the time, and that no firearms sign, that's more of a suggestion for me than it is for anything, right? So I go into some of these national forests, and some of the hikes I go on are pretty serious hikes, man. And I mean, I worry more about mountain lions than I do, most stuff. But like, yeah, something's happening, bro. And like I said, everything we've been told, not just us, everything that's been fed to us is a lie. And it's all coming to the forward. And it's all coming true right now, man. It's actually coming out too fast. So much stuff is coming forward so fast that people can't really process it all. So
You know, that's what I believe they want because we've kind of gone. Now we're at that. They used to call it like 30-second memory. I think now we're down to 5-second memory or however long TikToks or whatever are supposed to. I don't mess with that stuff. How it's supposed to be.
yeah.
If they keep on feeding the stuff, we'll forget about it. I mean,
Yeah, no. So they keep you dumb, man. They keep you dumb for a reason, man. They'll keep you stupid for a reason. And one of the things that, too, before we go, man, as I'll tell you, is that it actually works, dude. There was a dog man story that went down, and I think it was in Texas, man. Three dudes were fishing, right? And this analogy fits into the people that I deal with. They came across a pack of dog men, attacked them. They got out of there. Each one of the guys reacted in a different way. It's crazy. One guy became like this, predator hunting. I'm going to go out and I'm going to kill these dog men. I'm going to find them, you know, every day. He's having trouble with his wife, buying all this equipment, man, going out there, hunting them down, right? The second one was like, you know what? I've never been that scared in my life. Sold all of his fishing equipment. You know what, man? I'm not doing it anymore, man. We're not, that's their world. We're not meant to be in their world. I'm going to stay here. You go there. And the third one was like, those guys are liars. This never happened. I don't know what they're talking about. I won't even, they're so liars. I won't even hang out with them anymore. His mind physically can't grasp what happened, right? Because it doesn't fit into his box, right? And the three of them, they don't even talk. The three guys don't even talk anymore, right? And so that's how it is with this disclosure thing, man. People will come in and just introducing the idea of, that something has been asleep in these caves in the national forest for hundreds of years, and now we've woke them up somehow and they're hungry. It just breaks people, right? And then some people like, you know what? I'm a firm believer. I've got scratch marks outside my RV at night. I'm in there with the 12 gauge. So either way, man, don't believe in Bigfoot. Don't believe in Dog Man. And one knocks on your door, go out there and tell them you don't believe on it. Let me know how that works out for you, man. It's right? Let me know how that works out for you, bro.
yeah. Oh man. Oh, this is a great time, man. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you one more time?
Okay, man. So on all of my platforms, man, my link tree links up there. You can hit that link tree. Most of my platforms are the Ancient Enigma Files, man. It's easily to follow. I'm on YouTube. I have my own Discord. You can come in there and chop it up with us, sit down and hang out with us or whatever, and get it. But that's where I'm at. That's where all my stuff is at. But my main focus is my YouTube channel, which is the Ancient Enigma Files on YouTube. But again, you go there. If you like my short content, you can click on the link in the link tree and follow on TikTok or Instagram or all these other places. I'm on Facebook too on there, same stuff. So for
All right.
Professor Augustus.
Well, brother, thank you for coming on. This was a great time. I'll have to have you back on here in the future
Yeah,
because
no worries, Riley. You got to come on to my show next, man. Nah, I got you got to come on mine. That's how I do. I won't do another show unless you come on my show, man. That's
hey,
how it goes.
just give me a date and I'll
I
be
got you.
there.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, hope you all enjoyed this week's episode. Don't forget to go check out all this stuff. And if you or anybody you know has had an encounter or research anything that most people may have had an encounter with, you know how to get a hold of me. Get a hold of me through the Instagram or the link tree in the bio. And with that being said, y'all have a blessed week. Till next time. Bye.
Later, nerds.